What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Business and Biceps. And you better wake your ass up, because on today's show, we're going to talk about calculated risk. Talk about employing money. John is going to riff on something where he spits on me a lot, I'm sure.
Yeah.
He's got
Mo, watch your legs. You're wearing shorts. You got to watch. You got to get like a little cover for you.
Oh, okay. Yeah. All right.
Watch out for Mo's legs.
The pitcher wedge ain't going to do it.
Everybody in 2001 won't have nothing to do with those things. That's for damn
No.
sure. Hope you guys are doing well. We're excited about the format. We're cruising along here. We got two sponsors today, Keeps.com.
Yeah.
John, I mean, no one's ever seen you without your hat on.
No. It's a mystery.
It is a mystery.
Yeah.
But I saw this box that was getting delivered
What
to
kind
the
of box?
office.
What kind of box?
From Keeps.com.
Okay.
Why? But you haven't taken your hat off yet, so I'm wondering if you're getting us ready for an unveiling of something.
No, I'm looking. I want to get a Clippers jersey.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Okay, but relating to Keeps, okay, Corey?
Yes.
We have a sheet that gives us points to promote their business.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here to do.
That's
my
what I was
friend.
doing, but your hat is on, not off.
You weren't doing it because Keeps is designed for guys who want to stop hair loss with their scientific and affordable approach managed entirely on their website.
I love it.
Keeps.com, right?
Yeah.
Keeps is the easiest way to stop hair loss before it's too late. It really does work. Okay, you would know that. And Keeps offers the only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products, clinically proven to keep the hair you have. No BS, just science.
Just keep it, John.
Just keep it.
And Maurice, I know that you downloaded Robinhood. So how's that going so far?
How is it? What do you got?
I think Maurice went to biceps.robinhood.com and opted to get a free stock such as Apple, Ford, or Sprint. I actually bought some. I know we're not supposed to give any actual stock, but I bought some Netflix on Robinhood when me and John were talking a couple weeks ago.
I told you to buy that.
Yeah, John did.
Yeah.
Because you were keeping Keeps.com your hair.
Hey, you know what I keep on laughing at? I keep laughing at the fact that Corey
Go ahead.
got a comment from Pat McAfee about that man
About my
has
hair? Yeah, and then he promoted Keeps. It's like, that guy got a head of hair. They're idiots, but that guy got a head of hair.
Idiots.
It was pretty funny.
I think
So I think we're going to go to our regular segments where John yells and Maurice has some great thought-provoking things. But first, John is upset. John is upset for some reason about my jersey.
Okay, I'm not upset. Let me clarify something. I, like 99.99% of the world, have never heard of the Columbus Clippers.
Okay.
I thought that Corey created his own team because he wants to be a team owner, and he's not.
I might have.
So he put his name on the back of a jersey. I didn't know the Clippers were a real thing.
They
now,
are.
Corey has worn jerseys 3 weeks in a row.
Yes.
I think there's a new jersey thing.
There is.
And as he walked
I
in,
never
said,
wear 'em
"Corey,
anywhere."
You cannot wear a jersey with your name on the back. The last time I did that, I was 6.
Okay, well, I'm going to tell you the
Okay.
story, right?
Tell me the story.
It's epic. Are you ready?
Go ahead.
All right, so
You got the Impact Award.
Well, no,
and
that
then
has
the
nothing.
okay.
My
All
Impact
right.
Award
All
that's
right.
awarded every year at Columbus State has nothing to do with this, John. This guy.
You got to drop that on you.
Yeah. So here's the deal. Like 5 years ago on Twitter, I went to the Clippers game, which is the AAA ball club here at Columbus, and take the kids. Great environment.
Great environment.
They were running a mascot contest on Twitter for the minor leagues, right? And so it was all based on retweets. The mascot would say something. If you got a retweet, then you would they had brackets almost like the NCAA, and they were doing videos and all stuff. So I was like, well, shit, I'm gonna jump in on this. I'll get like 2,000 retweets. We'll win this motherfucker, right? So
Lo and behold,
oh, dude,
Lo
we
and behold,
smashed
here's the
everybody.
jersey.
So check this out. So basically, I would have mascots from like Single Way, Nantucket tweet me like, "This is illegal. You can't help Columbus." Like, dude, we smashed everybody. So I won. So I won with the Columbus Clippers some random Twitter contest. So I came to the game. They had this belt, like this WWF belt. They had me take a picture with, and they gave me a jersey for helping.
I'm going to tell you a story before we move on into the show about jerseys. So Maurice, Corey calls me up about 4 years ago. He says, "John, we have this great cause for a football game. If your business and you could donate to the football game, you're welcomed out. If you don't come out, I'll have your jersey. It'll be printed. We'll send it to you. It's all." So we sent them like $5,000, right? And to this day,
2,500 or $5,000, I can't remember.
Business, yeah. To this day, I still don't have my jersey.
Oh.
I want my fucking jersey, Gregory. I want my jersey.
I actually might have it in the same box that I found that.
damn it.
I'm gonna look for it.
The source here for a reason.
You'll shit yourself if I find that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
That fucking jersey. It was a $5,000 jersey. I never got it.
Amazing. So, hey, let's start with you first, Mo, and then we'll come back to John. We're gonna let him cool down for a second. So, what is on Mo's mind?
Wait,
And, just lay it out there, Mo. Let him know
all
what's
right,
going on.
well, put it like this. Well, I think for the first time ever, me and Corey went to a party together. That's on my mind.
Yeah, that's
right?
true.
So we got together. We was at a party last night,
You were
and
being
a total surprise. And I rolled up and I tried to hit him with my car.
He did.
Right. So-
I step out and I'm like looking around, like, can I park here? And all of a sudden I almost get hit, and then I see Mo. I was like, oh shit, let's go.
No, but I'm going to continue not a conversation, but just something I was saying to Haven after the show last week, and what we were talking about was just simply about the importance of understanding the difference or the impact of your words over your life, right? And what do they really mean? And last week, just to put context for the viewers, so Haven is the guy who's kind of like in the behind the scenes producing the show, and I was talking to him about. He was saying, hey, I have some money that I've saved up, and I need to spend some money. And I don't remember the context of the entire conversation, but I had stopped him and I said, don't say that you want to spend some money. You need to talk about investing. Like you have to be very particular about what you want to do with your money. And I've been like a big person of the word and the verbiage that we use of our lives because these things drive action.
It's the vocabulary,
Yes,
man.
it's the vocabulary that you have. And a lot of things, and this could fit into the old segment of Black Facts, but as Black people in general, John still finds it funny, right? So,
Well, you told him you were having a blast.
Yeah.
You're
So
Give him the real story.
yeah, in the process of the conversation to the
you
listener,
didn't even remember you said it.
yeah, I didn't even remember I said it. So like everybody knows, like it's like when you have a conversation as Black and white people, you have a couple Black people. There's parts of the conversation that you'd be like, this is just some Black shit that we about to talk about, right? This is just some
I
shit.
wasn't aware of that until you said it. We're having a Black conversation right
Yeah,
now. I was
so-
like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
The room looks the same.
Go ahead.
So it's just some shit that Black people would understand based upon just things that we do, and oftentimes I don't think just even with just with a lot of people in general, but in particular Black people, when it comes to wasteful spending, and wasteful spending is purchasing Jordans or purchasing a bunch of items that don't produce money, and sometimes we work our ass off for our money and we get money in our pockets, and the first thing that we want to do is to go out and just spend money, and it becomes wasted, and we were talking about, just money sitting. Money sitting has no value. Money sitting in a bank account, in a shoebox, under a mattress, money on the ground literally has no value. Money only becomes valuable when it's in motion doing something, when you employ money, when you put money into an investment, when you put money into a person to go produce a service, when you put money into a product to either get you better, to put you in a position to do a service better. And that's all I was telling him. And if you think of money like that, as if like, hey, I'm going out here to earn money myself, then to take that money, then to employ that money or invest that money in some capacity, when you start to think like that, just your actions are totally different. And so I was breaking down to him like, right now I got on some shorts that I got from Sam's Club for $15. You know what I'm saying? I only got this Nike dry fit shirt on right now is because I was in Florida on vacation and I had to go to like a semi-formal event. Other than that, I'd have probably bought a
Semi-formal, you went dry fit.
Yeah. Like, I just, just to be looking presentable. Like, considering I'm an athlete, I can get away wearing a dry fit because somebody like, okay.
You got any Max Effort shirts?
I got to get some Max Effort shirts, right? So but I won't pay for them, right? Can I get a deal, right?
You can buy the test boost, Mo.
I'll buy the
give you a
test booster,
t-shirt.
but I can get a t-shirt, right?
It's a
So
household happy.
yeah, so but like in a serious thing, and this just doesn't go to Haven as almost anybody. Literally understanding that. Like to even say in your mind, I'm not spending money with the money that I'm making. I'm investing it to build something. Every dollar I make, and I mean on every level, it's always going into something to invest money. Now I'll spend money on my girl because my woman, she doesn't care about she's my woman, so I spend money on her. I spend money on my daughter. I spend money on things around the house. But when you're talking about building your life, and I don't spend frivolously. I don't spend frivolously at all. Everything that I do is literally investing money. And that's sort of like what John was talking about. John was saying, hey, I have too much money in my checking account. And I don't think he said it to be an asshole, but he understands that money literally sitting in that account with inflation, it's not making anything, and I can basically plant that money or place that money elsewhere to make more money, and that money can be employed, or that money can employ somebody to make more money. And so really, and this is not to assume that everybody knows this stuff. There may be a large group of people who listen to this stuff that get it and say, okay, Maurice is just talking, things I already know. But there's a large group of people who they get money and it's to buy the new Kevin Durant, the new Kyrie Irving shoe, the new, the new Gucci belt, the new jacket. You know what I'm saying? Or I got to go on this new vacation, and you're not realizing that you've given away your entire investment. You've given away the amount of capital that you can do to invest, and so you always wonder, like, why am I on the hamster wheel? And you're on the hamster wheel because you've not employed your money, you spent your money.
So is it safe to say one should spend on necessities and invest after necessities have been taken care of and there's money left over?
Yeah, 100%. So I got like a little small thing, right? So I live a bare minimum, very lean life, right? The only thing I can say I spend money on that I don't have any regard on is food, right? So I actually enjoy good food. That's one of my enjoyments. So like good food, like I don't get like.
Don't put fries around this guy.
It's a
serious thing.
Hey, so he last night at the party, he was like, I was talking about how I need to eat better. He's like, and he's sitting by me, we're eating some chicken. He's like, they're gonna be checking on me.
Yeah. So, but they had they had something I've never seen before. I seen Caesar salads inside of dry cheese cups, if that even makes any sense.
What?
So it was
Mo almost ate the whole tray.
Right, yeah. So me and Corey sitting down by the
everybody else is doing this, drinking. We're just smashing all this food.
I was smashing all this food by the fucking food bar. I have fun though, but that's sort of like my 5-minute spiel, but. Like you basically spend on necessities, and that's housing, that's food, that's gas, that's insurance, that's your basic things what you need. You take a portion of that and you save, and you have to put something up for saving for a rainy day. But after that, you invest the rest. And it's really a simple concept that if discipline, and sometimes you don't have the money to save because you say, okay, I got to make this investment, or sometimes things become out of balance because you're employing money to make more money. But that's my sort of philosophy, and I've been able to just constantly move ahead or get better like that. But I don't advise anybody. I think the biggest thing to guys, especially young black guys, they don't invest, they spend money because and this is for everybody. This is not young black guys. Everybody wants to be cool.
Right.
Like, so they got to have the cool shit. And being cool and taking care of yourself for a long time is two different things.
Will destroy your financial future. And
100%.
I think as a rule of thumb, I always say, like, stay away from sexy, right? Like things that are sexy, whether it be cars, homes, shoes, or if you are going to invest, don't invest in a fucking bar, right? Because you think girls are going to be around and you're going to make all this money. Like, stay away from sexy. Come towards conservative, come towards boring. There's a reason all the billionaires in the world look like fucking bean counters, right? Okay?
100%.
Stay away from sexy.
Well, I totally get that. And like this, if I seen anything, if I could say, just to end it all, learning to be supremely disciplined and living as cheap as possible or as frugal as possible, not caring about putting on cheap-ass $15 shorts, not caring about putting on $5 shirts, not caring about wearing the same jeans twice, not caring about wearing the same outfits twice. When you get out of that vain way of thinking, I think that there's a certain level of freedom that you have when it comes to just your finances.
I like it. I think what I'll do, because I'm going to build off that for my segment, John, then I'll throw it to you.
Yeah.
I was going to talk about exercise and self-discipline, actually, Mo. That was something that I've been reading the Carnegie book about, listening to, and what you're just explaining is that in the financial way, that whenever you exercise self-discipline to that level, when the opportunities are there to invest or make yourself better, you can do it.
100%,
right? So discipline is rewarded is kind of what my point is. And
discipline
I think
is rewarded,
it's the same way, like anytime I feel like I'm either up against a wall or something's not working as good, or there's something that doesn't feel as smooth as it had, I start to go down the checklist. Okay.
Let's switch that to a financial conversation.
Sure.
So if you look at your financial investment portfolio have either of you guys done things year over year to constantly put yourself in a position where it's uncomfortable in an educated way, meaning I'm investing in a more either aggressive way, a new way, or a more measured way? Because the reason I ask this is because I've found that the money I make on an annual basis is directly connected to the investments I make year over year. Like if I make new investments, like the only way I'm going to grow my annual gross total income is to do things that I feel a little uncomfortable with that are measured. So do you guys, like, I know you're a real estate guy, and I know you got some stuff in the market and in other places. Do you guys seek a lack of comfort while investing to grow your gross income?
Well, here's the way that I I would answer that is almost everything I've done, starting businesses, new businesses, they're within some sort of comfort because I've been a risk taker my whole life, but they're uncomfortable in theory because none of it's proven, right? I'm always starting new businesses, I'm doing new things. When it comes to,
I mean, cash out, cash you made.
I'm getting to that. So what I'm saying is that I'm always in it seems secure to me because I like having my own future in my hands, but in theory, in a non-secure environment, right? So whenever the cash comes in, I do more basic type of investing. That's just what I feel comfortable because I invest into myself and all these other things I'm always starting, doing, moving. And to me, that's the uncomfortable because what would be comfortable to me is just on my website. That's me being just comfortable, right? But what I'm saying is all these other things past that are uncomfortable.
I know, but I think you're missing me a little bit because, okay, your website, Max, the other businesses we do, they yield you
I understand
cash that you take home and stacks.
What I'm saying is the uncomfortable part puts the cash back into the things that are moving, and then I take a piece of it and I just make sure that.
But if they're profiting, it's not going back in. The profits are going back in. You're taking money home and you're stacking it.
Yeah.
I'm saying with the money you stack, are you deploying differently?
I just deploy it in the manner that makes me the most like long-term stuff. I don't have high-risk investments outside of myself.
Gotcha, like paying off houses, stuff like that.
Well, I don't know if that's a high-risk investment.
Well, I'm saying that's taking cash from your,
I don't. Yeah. I'm basically debt-free for the most part. You know, a couple things here and there. So my whole thing was kind of OG, pay off everything. The stuff that's deployed is basic investments, and everything I take out of these profits and start new businesses or investments, all to me is the highest risk because I can't guarantee if I spend $30,000 more on my website that I would get every dollar of that back. I can't guarantee that. So my higher risk investments are just in myself.
But I'm saying those are coming from operating profits. They're not coming from your checking account.
Yeah, but either way, that's just how I look at it. I don't know if I'm
Okay.
answering your question.
Mine is a bit different. I'm always at risk, and there's always everything that I make, I'm always throwing back into the business. I don't have a bunch of cash on hand because I know where I'm trying to get to go. So I know, like, I have and I spoke about this to you about last night, like literally, and probably like in the next 8 weeks, things can be like drastically different, fivefold, like literally like fivefold what I'm doing right now. And I know it takes money to make money, right? So I'm always putting out there. I'm always working. I'm always building. And now that I understand the amount of stress and the amount of uncomfortable position that I'm mentally in. It's like, okay, when you get to this point in the next 8 weeks, what can you do to start to put something to the side so you're not always drained, right? So for the person, what people don't realize, in order to grow business, you have to reinvest back into the business, right? And there's no guarantee that everything will come back. But I just got a personality like I don't give a fuck. Right, so if I'm in it, if I'm up every day, if I'm grinding every day, I'm constantly putting money back in. Whether it's buying a new facility, employing new people to bring on new employees costs money, to go and get new business.
So you're going beyond net profits, and you're going into your into your savings or
100%. Listen to me. I'm
Or
constantly
you're just
dumping.
not taking it off the table.
Not even taking it off the table. I'm literally just dumping, going back, dumping, all for the purpose of growth because I know where I got to get to, right? So if I just put this thing on cruise control, like if I just stopped doing what I was doing literally today and I said, okay, I just want to sit and just take profits, right? I'll be living like fucking 50 times different than what I am now, right? And I can be cleaning the house like I'm cool, I'm great, right? But me just constantly.
You're talking about personal money putting into the business for growth. You're not talking about operating profits. I just want to clarify.
Oh, say it again.
Okay, you're talking about So the red zone, let's say, did $200,000 last month, right?
Okay.
And of that, $42,000 was net revenue, and you want to go buy a building, right? You're not taking the net revenue from the red zone. You're saying you're going back into your savings or wherever your money sits, and you're taking Maurice Claret's money, not the red zone's money. I'm sure you're putting the red zone's money there too, but you're saying you're going back and adding more?
So, dude, I put like this. My life is set up like this. I live such a lean life. I take everything, literally everything. I live off a bare minimum, got a small savings. I don't even take money out of the company some months. It's literally, I don't even pay myself. Literally everything is growing and growing back. So whereas a person may take something, I'm taking a salary from this, I'm taking this, I'm putting this off into the side.
You don't.
And no, it's no point. Like, so what does it do? It sits there, it does nothing. And so unless I got to take some money out of here, pay taxes on it to go start another business, that's cool. But to me, that's the safer road. That does nothing for me. So I understand what we're trying to do in regards to growing the red zone. So, like, if you look at my life, just look at my life is real lean, right? And it's like that on purpose, right? And so I can sit here. I can show you my books in 5 minutes, right?
Right.
If I wanted to, I could just live a totally different life, right? Totally different.
So you're
life.
saying if you had an $800,000 net profit last year, that $800,000, next to none of it would go to you. It would just go back into buying more buildings, Is that what you're saying?
The largest cost is getting new employees. That's the largest cost inside of what we're doing. So in real estate, right? But with real estate, you can grab a property, put 20% down. But the property in Youngstown we pay cash for, right?
Okay.
But literally, it's all in growing business. All in growing relationships, all in marketing. But nothing, like literally nothing into my pocket.
It's good, Johnny. Fosco's World.
Oh, okay. All right. We're ready. Just gotta.
I think we're primed. I think we're primed up after that initial conversation.
Yeah, it's a different feeling from starting it to this conversation. But here's what I was thinking about.
More or less pressure.
I don't feel pressure. Fuck pressure. Bunch of fucking pussies. Anyways, so
now we got him started.
Yeah, let's go. So I just think, as I was thinking about it, there's a word I absolutely hate hearing from people, and when I hear it from people, I think about the kind of people I hear it from, and these people are losers. In Haven, we're going to do that pre-recorded thing where I take my words back. If you losers get bored. Losers get bored. How many people do you know that are successful? You call on the phone, you're talking to them, you say, "I'm bored. What are you doing?" "I'm bored. You want?" I don't know anybody who is fucking on a mission, is about their business, and has a objective that uses that vocabulary. I'm bored. Like, dude, if I don't have time to be bored.
I've been bored since 95.
Exactly. That's my fucking point. If you're on a mission, you don't get bored. You're reading a book, you're doing business, you're investing, or you're with your family or your loved ones. If you're bored, you're a fucking bum, right? Like, what are you doing with your time? You're telling me you're bored? If you could take the time you spend to tell me you're bored to go invest that time in something that will produce something, well, then you wouldn't be bored. Like, all of these people, like I guess where my brain always goes is people who create their own misery and their own problems, right? Sure. Like, I'm fucking bored. It's like,
I don't even. So you know how we talk about vocabulary? I don't even use that word.
I don't either.
I can't even think.
I literally probably been bored since '95, for real.
Yeah,
like
I
in
can't
high
think-
school, I might have been bored for a second, maybe.
I can't think of a time.
I don't even remember.
Life is amazing. Life is amazing if you understand that it's time to stop being a pussy and start grabbing life by the fucking balls and directing fucking life like it's your car.
Yeah.
Right? Stop being a fucking pussy and I'm bored because my friends aren't around or I'm off work and this TV show isn't on. Dude, you're just along for the ride. You're not driving. You got to drive in life. You got to fucking control the car. You know what I'm saying? Motherfuckers don't control the car and they wonder so many people I talk to, at least from back home, they say this shit to me. And then they wonder why I'm not doing what they're doing. And it's like, I heard that last night, you know. I'm bored, and I asked dude, I said, what are you doing outside of punching a clock and getting home and fucking getting on the couch, cracking a fucking beer, staring at a TV screen? What else are you doing to not be bored or to get more, to take control of your life? And he's like, dude, I work every day. I'm tired after work. And I said, man, I love you, but you're a pussy. I feel
like the cartoon would come to mind when somebody says that to John Fosco, where the steam comes out the ears.
Well,
like, you know what I'm saying?
Think about it.
I agree, though, John.
It's an individual saying, the reason I'm a loser is because I'm a fucking loser. Like, and they're asking you, why am I a loser? And they're telling you why they're a loser. And you're like, whoa. You really don't get it. Like you are the creator of your own problems and you refuse to take control of your life. And I can't help you. I can't help you. And you know what?
Was he asking for help, John? In a way?
It was like one of those dudes.
In a backwards way, probably.
In a backwards way.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
He was putting it out there to get guidance, but he didn't have the humility to say, hey man, like, you know,
why ain't shit working for me?
But you probably got it from his body language.
No, it's over the phone.
Oh, got you.
Yeah, it was over the phone, and you know he's married, and he was just saying how bored he is, and I was just like, I disengaged because, like you said, the steam came out my ears, and it's like when I feel like I want it more for you than you want it for you,
never works.
I gotta exit stage left. Because I will end up having a fucking heart attack, or I will end up insulting you so severely, or I'll assault you. One of those three things is going to happen. You know what I'm saying? So that's my thing. We could title this "Losers Get Bored." I mean that's straight up. I haven't said that word in 20 years.
I haven't thought about it like that.
I don't even know if I've ever said that.
I can feel him on that. Like, but just me. People who are typically like low energy, you know, seem to be unhappy with life, and I don't even think like I do it with like a whole lot of purpose. It's just like natural in my life now. I just won't be bothered with them,
right?
Unless I'm scheduled to try to inspire you, or to try to motivate you, I just won't be bothered because it's too draining, right? So look at it. So that thing drained you yesterday.
Hell yeah.
And then you just put that energy now, and and even thinking about it becomes draining.
Agreed.
But like I'm telling you, like the energy from draining people is so draining on a lot of levels because they have no optimism, no goals, nothing that they chase and nothing that they reach in. And literally it comes down to you personally just cooking your moment up, right? Literally, like you just trying to. That's how everybody starts. Everybody starts with nothing. Like everybody starts with everything starts with an idea. And the reason you calling him a pussy because he just won't get down to the core hard facts is like I gotta change something, right? So it's easier just to bitch. It's easier to complain. It's easier to act like, you know, the world is giving me all these problems. And so I feel you. And like, so even to the listener, like don't feel bad if you avoid like typically boring ass people, unhappy people, because
I dodge them like the plague.
Yeah. Listen to words, man. Listen to words because they're verbal cues of who you should and should not associate with. And you could love somebody, you could care about somebody, but that doesn't mean that you have to give them your time and energy. Like they can be in your heart, but you got to know that they're potentially dangerous because it's not good for me to get upset. You know what I'm saying? Because if Corey calls me about business and I got an attitude on me, that ain't helping nothing.
It's not helping nothing. But you owe it to yourself to be happy.
Right.
And like I've been in that space, man. You owe it to your fucking self. Like I'm like a lot more stern and dialed in right now with just how I spend my time. Or like I'm more John Fosco-ish with like just bullshit. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, nah, we not about to do that.
Hey, no, listen, we were talking to this guy last night. Maurice says to his face, I really don't usually talk to people this long.
Yeah, seriously. Yeah, we were having.
I started laughing. I said, yeah, he told me a long time ago, I don't really fuck with many motherfuckers.
Yeah,
you know?
so.
Like, he was like telling me I'm your friend,
Right.
just letting you know how to really, fuck with many people.
Basically, I'm done
I
with
was
you.
like, yeah. I'm like, well, I'm glad we're
This
friends.
is over.
Yeah,
no.
but that's what he said to this dude. We're laughing. I know he's dead serious. This guy did been more than 5 minutes. He was,
Yeah, so I said,
I
my
was
man,
laughing my ass off.
I said you got a good personality because, like, the guy like, he was the guy was a cool guy, and like,
was.
and we was in there, and he just was like, he had a great personality, he had great energy, and out of all things, we had like a common love over. He was like, man, when you was talking to the crowd, he talked about cheeseburgers. That's what me and my wife love to do, and so he caught my attention right there.
We're going to talk about that on
Pulls
the
him in with
podcast
food.
in a lot more
Pulls him
depth.
in with
That's what
food.
me and my wife like to do.
That was fucking.
And so his wife was right there, and he was like, that's what me and my wife do. He's like, we enjoy.
That's how he broke the ice.
That's how
We
he breaks
enjoy
the ice.
cheeseburgers.
And
Who
he
the
was
fuck
like,
doesn't?
but like I heard his story in 5 minutes. He said, this is. I hope my man Bo listening. He literally his name Bo. I think it's Bo. Like I looked at how you say the word, but he was like, just grinded. He was like, man, I come from humble beginnings down to Kentucky. I didn't have anything. He said a few years ago, I didn't know what was going on in my life. I was driving a Chrysler minivan,
He's
raising
an
my family.
exercise phys major, he said.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah, and went into real estate.
And literally he was like, I got into sales and the real estate, and he was like, I changed my life, but humble dude, you know what I'm saying, wasn't anything. He was like, this is what I do, but I kind of like just good, like, good people, good energy. It was all good energy. It was from a good space. It wasn't like anything other than.
And Maurice let him know he was lucky he was still talking to him.
The clock was running just
I
like
thought
on
it
the
was
iPhone, and
I thought it was amazing.
It expired.
I thought it was amazing.
Yeah, time's up.
All right, time for some questions. Jeremy, you're dressed in varsity now.
We got to let the listeners know that Jeremy, this mysterious voice behind the microphone of Q&A, he lives the butt life, okay? If you guys are
John,
ever
go
going
ahead and give the definition.
Yeah. If you guys
ever
ever reach out to Business and Biceps and you're responding to it, know that hashtag butt life is the guy behind your responses. Now, this dude cannot find a pair of shorts that fit him right, but I love him. Thank you,
That
Jeremy.
was a very uncomfortable conversation.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think it's really weird. But go ahead, Jeremy.
All right. You guys have talked about people screwing you on multiple occasions in business. How do you continue to trust people in the business world, and how do you continue to solidify that trust?
Ooh. Go ahead, Johnny.
Yeah, I mean, let's take relationships where I think a lot more people can relate to it. Relationships with women or men, intimate relationships. So if you get cheated on or lied to or this or that when you're 16 years old, take this mentality that you're talking about with business, getting screwed over, and apply it to that. So if you were done wrong once, twice, 3 times, are you going to stop looking for or being accepting to people who improve your life in an intimate way? Because by that logic, you would be like, well, women screw me over. You'd put this big umbrella over them, right? Like, women do this, so I can't do that. It's the same with business partners. I had $239,000 stolen from me from probably my best friend at the time, okay? Like, it hurt me on many levels, but it also hardened me up afterwards on every level. And I can't blame Corey for that. If I did blame Corey for that, what would happen is we would not have started this company or any other companies, and what it would do is it would hurt me, right? It would stall my business career if I held other people responsible for the wrongs of others. So when you're going to make a blanket statement about I've been screwed over in business, so I can't do this, all you're doing is holding yourself in the same spot. You're planting your feet in mud, and you're stuck, And all of a sudden, that mud turns into concrete, and you ain't going nowhere. So if you want to continue to improve in life, you need to learn to understand why people do what they do and say, okay, I learned from this situation. Here's how I'm going to handle it differently and manage it differently.
Well, yeah, I think I'd like to speak to that, because if you only carry past, into the present, you're never going to win. And, I had some old school business dudes that I knew that didn't have good partnerships ever. Like, it just seemed like they couldn't pick. It's kind of like a relationship with your wife, right? A lot of guys are unhappy in their marriage because they picked the wrong woman. Straight
you didn't
up.
have the best partnership either.
Exactly. That's what I'm getting to. So, so this dude said, yo, the worst ship that sails the sea is the partnership. And I was like, I feel you, because you had a bad example, and I had I've had a good partnership with Dustin at the gym that's lasted for years. I've had a really bad partnership in other businesses, and that would have not allowed me to try to think, oh, can I be partners with John? We had a great, business relationship previously. I really thought it would work out, right? Same with bringing you in on the podcast, Mo, right? We haven't done any business, even though this is light business, but at the end of the day, it's still business. And I think that you can't be scared of what has burned you. It's all about who you pick. It's no different than these guys used to be like, man, I fucking hate being married, blah, blah, blah. You picked the wrong person.
Yeah, I mean, I would concur with both of you all just said, but I would also add, you just get different perspective on it. I think you first started out with saying somebody did me wrong, but then I think when you come to the accepting of responsibility and ask yourself, what could I have done different? When you get to the learning space, you say, how do I protect myself, or how would I enter this next relationship to not get the same outcome? And that's sort of like when you were talking about with your guy the other day, your guy who owes you money. And so you can say, hey, he did me wrong, but then you can say, okay, what could have I done different to have protected myself? And so I've had partnerships that didn't work out. And the initial feeling is that when it happens, it's like, man, this was a shitty thing. And then I always come back to say, all right, well, it's not a shitty thing. It was a learning experience. It was a relationship that, based upon the initial circumstance, didn't work out. And I think the biggest part, just my personal opinion, even dealing with now. So I don't have any partners, but I have other people who have opinions within our business, right? And I think one of the biggest things that keeps us out of gray areas that I didn't do initially was understanding where people start and people land at, right? So I think people have this misconception, like, let me get in business and let's throw money on the table and let's just start a business together. But if you don't clearly define where I start and you in, or you start and you in, and be like diligent to that, you're always gonna run into confusion. I think, like, even with relationships, like even me, business practices into my relationship, right? So Corey was like, man, this is the best relationship that you probably had with your woman in a long time. And I said, absolutely. But it came from applying business principles, like, where does my role start, stop, and end at, and what are the expectations? And so
I can see that on you, by the way. That's
100%,
why I said it last night.
But that goes into adding more discipline to my life, being more rigid, adding actual effort and intention to thought on business. And so people say they want to start a business together. John has money, I has money, let's throw it in the pot. We think that this is a good idea. That's how a lot of people start companies, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And then be like, okay, what has to be done today? And we're just getting off a checklist, but not realizing that these checklists have categories, and these are skill sets that go with these different categories. And if we can't set expectation of task if everybody's everywhere and overlapping work, and those are bad partnerships. And so to the listener, this has to come within context, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. That just because you hook up with somebody to do business doesn't mean it's going to be a bad business. Right. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. I think what you're saying, it just brings me to, if me and you threw money in a pot and said, let's go do something, I think to this listener's question, to protect yourself from learning, we can't start like that. The way we need to start is, I always say, let's get the ugly shit out of the way first. All right, Mo, I think I deserve this percentage, and I think you deserve that. What's your take? Well, okay, so we come to a deal. Once we come to a deal, we have to put in place an operating agreement that says, listen, you said this, I said this.
Can you explain what an operating agreement is?
Yeah, an operating agreement is essentially if you look at what the police enforce. The police enforce laws. An operating agreement is essentially the laws the owners of business make up for their business. So me and Maurice say, these are the laws. So as much as I respect you as a person, if you do this, you're out.
So let me stop right there with you, right? And so what an operating agreement does for people who are getting into business with people, right? It's an understanding that it's not John's opinion on why something is bad. It's not my opinion. It's the agreement's opinion on how we're doing business. These are the policies, procedures, and agreements on what's right and what's wrong for the business. It's not, I don't like John today because John got on the black sweatshirt and that's affecting the business. Let the principles, the policies and procedures, and the laws dictate the business. And so, my fault. I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, you're exactly
hopefully
right.
that gave some value to the listener.
Guys.
And that's, at the end of the day, he's got to sign it. I got to sign it. The hard part's out of the way. Now the money goes in. Now we go to attack our objective, but not before that.
Let me say, would you? And this is just me asking, and I got my own opinion on it, but this is just my belief. I believe people get into business too fast. They put the money in too fast. They dive in too fast, and they don't want to have the drawn out conversations beforehand. And all of the variables that may come up and write them out into organizing them. I think that's how people get in trouble. That's just my personal opinion.
100%, because it's hard to say to someone, hey, listen, I have capital and I have this skill set. That's why I'm entitled, in my mind, to 60% and you're entitled to 40. If you ain't bringing capital, I understand you got a skill set, but I'm bringing two things. So it's naturally uncomfortable sometimes to speak the truth that you may interpret as offensive to another person. But if it's just the truth, you have to speak it.
Yes.
You know what I'm saying? And I think that's why people rush into it.
Yeah, but it's easier to have the conversation on the front end when no money's out the door
Damn right.
than it is to have the conversation on the back end when money's up in the air, business up in the air, you have employees who are involved. It just gets messy. And so that's just one thing I learned. And so if I ever get into partnerships with people, it's just I just look, this is what I do. Like, this is the whole picture. This is what it takes. This is all the effort. This is what I can bring to the table and maximize it. But then also, please understand, right, partnership doesn't necessarily mean 50-50 all the time.
Damn right.
And let me break that down to people. So people believe, like, if I don't get 50% of something, I'm getting cheated. And I think you cheat yourself when you just think that if you don't get 50% of something, you don't get cheated. Get what your value is worth and be responsible for what your value is worth and hold on to that. I told you Beanie Siegel had the greatest line. I did captain of the yacht, but I'm on the boat, right? And so I may not, so the other person may not feel I deserve 50%, and he knows that I can't get to that 50%, and there will always be a problem because he knows that I'm not delivering the same that he's delivering. You feel where I'm coming from?
Absolutely.
And so if you only worth 30% and you're responsible for 30% and you dominate that 30%, that's cool because that 30% may be in place for a lifetime. That 50% may be in place for fucking, 2 or 3 months until we blow up into an argument to where the person feels that, hey, this is, you're not bringing in 50% worth of shit. So, like, as a partner, like, don't think that you got to own 50% of everything. Like, there's a lot of people that can be a minority shareholder in something or a minority partner in something, and you got your 20%, but that 20%, that other 30% calls for responsibility, and maybe I don't want that responsibility. You know what I'm saying? Maybe I just want this 20%, and my 20% in dominating that space helps to drive this business large. That doesn't require me to be here all day. That's like, that's a real question to people. Like, but everybody thinks like we getting things don't have to be split equal if you're not doing the same work, man.
And a lot of people do not understand control. So in a business, let's say you own 70% and I own 30%. People don't understand that in an operating agreement, we could say all decisions require an 80% vote. So what does that mean? That means your 70% is worth the same as my 30 in terms of control. That goes into, so just because you don't own 51% doesn't mean you can't have an equal vote. And that's why there's operating agreements, because if I'm going to put, hey, Mo, I'm going to put $500,000 into what you already got going on, but here's the deal, man. That money's fucking real. I'm pumping it into you, so I have to be able to block decisions just like you can block decisions because my money's at stake now. So we need an 80% vote if you own 70%.
Brother, listen to me. Totally get it, totally understand. And I just think for the listener, even if you're not in those circumstances, I think some of the things that you just talked about right now is of real value.
Real value.
Of real value. And maybe you may come back and listen to it later on, but hopefully that was an answer that sufficed.
Love it. All right, one more question. Jeremy, go ahead, buddy.
All right. What is the hardest conversation you've ever had to have with a team member or employee?
I'll start with this one. I think that anytime you have to be brutally honest, it's going to be extremely uncomfortable. I think that if the expectations are higher than what is being delivered, and if the awareness is off from management to employee or partner, I think that's real hard, because at the end of the day, when you're getting hit with something that you believe is not, like maybe the person sitting in the seat doesn't think it's true, as a management you think it's true, there's obviously a big, huge gap of what, and we talked about this on the text a little bit this morning. We were talking about employees and certain things, and that's one of my weaknesses, because I believe my expectation is high, and I feel let down a lot of times, and it pisses me off.
Deliver. Yes.
And that might just be me, but I know what it takes to get there. And so I have an expectation level, and sometimes it's not met. And most of the time it's not met. And I don't know. I got to figure out how to adjust that sometimes, I guess.
Absolutely. I think it's always a challenge, man. And I would say for me, thankfully, it was very, very early on. I was 20 years old, and I was promoted to be the general manager of the gym where I started, where they trained me like a fucking animal, and I will thank them to this day for training me the way they did. Either way, the general manager that I was essentially taking his job, they said, okay, kid, if you want to run this facility, 40 employees, you're our youngest general manager in history, I need you to sit down the guy who trained you, who put all the time into you, and I need you to let him go. And man, I was number one, the dude showed me everything. He taught me everything. I respected him. I liked him. But it ended up being a position where he actually started crying, and he actually started talking about his family. And I at that point, I realized, like, after I did it, I felt really shitty. I called my regional manager, and he's like, you just learn what business is about. The business isn't about this guy's feelings. The business is about you're better than him, and that's why I'm having you replace him. So
that was your last test.
Yeah, absolutely. But it was so hard, but it was so fucking valuable. It was unbelievable, because I felt like, oh my God, I'm a piece of shit. This guy gave me all the tools. And then the boss upstairs is like, it felt like the devil was on my shoulder. He's like, that's what you got to do to make it here. But I realized in business, that's what you got to do.
Yeah, I would say, I thought about two things, though. So in sports, when a person talked about teammates, it was easier for me in sports to tell people, like, you just not shit. You know what I'm saying? Like, motherfucker, you're not working hard enough. I remember our first week before our first game, a reporter asked me, so I had no media etiquette. He's like, how are y'all doing? He still don't, right? And so he asked me, he's like, how are y'all doing? I was like, man, these dudes don't practice hard enough. And I didn't realize that was a bad thing to say.
That's great.
Yes.
And so they came on the TV that like freshman calls out all other players. I'm
practice, right? The dispatch is loving you.
Yeah, but they got mad, but I was like, they can't do shit.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, so hurry, motherfucker, you can't tackle. You can tackle me, but I bring your lunch, motherfucker. You know what I'm saying? So like that wasn't hard. And with business stuff, I used to first dance around, right? But you would so when you start business and somebody's working for you. You got this thing of dancing around because you think you need to hold on to all employees, right? I think when you first start out, that was at least me. I need to hold on to you. I need to hold on to these guys. So I don't want to piss them off. I need to coach them up. But I think you get to that point, that callous point. Luckily, they trained you faster. It don't even matter to me now. Like, literally, it has no bearing on who you are, your kids, your mother. It's strictly expectations. I don't care. You know what I'm saying? Because if you cared about your kids and mother enough, you would deliver on your job. Right. You know what I'm saying? If you cared about your house, your mortgage, your everything, you would do the things that it costs or it takes to get better, right? Haven, same thing with Haven. Haven, if you want this employment, if you want this job, you want this opportunity, you will get here. If you don't want it, you'll make an excuse. Jeremy, if you want it, right, you'll deliver content. If you don't, you're going to get the fuck out of here. You know what I'm saying? I'm not talking to these guys in particular, but just making like quick examples, you know what I'm saying? And if you care about your kids enough, you care about your house, you care about your mortgage, you care about money you may be able to earn to invest, if these things are important to you, you're gonna make it happen. And me having a human side to me, that comes when I go home and I got to talk to my daughter and my girl. That's cool. I could turn it on right there. But with business, I learned that if you want to sit in that seat, you want to be in charge of somebody, you got to be a cold, callous motherfucker at times. And literally, you got to be able to knock somebody's head off and keep on stepping. You know what I'm saying? And that's what it is. But people are replaceable, and they become replaceable when they don't meet expectations on what it takes to run this business. And so, back to the old saying, if you allow it, you deserve it. If you allow a person to exist within your account who isn't shit, you deserve for the people to have them in there. But it's not until you muster up that courage, just like you did, and say, hey, at 20, that'd have been hard for me. To sit here and tell a dude who trained me, now, like, I'd be like, yo, that's a piece of shit. You know what I'm saying? You feel like a piece of shit. Like, don't have this dude train me. You know what I'm saying?
And then take my kid. I had to let a trainer go that was, I was only 21. He was probably 25. He had a baby the week before, and I had given him multiple kind of warnings, and he wouldn't listen. And finally, I was like, dude, the human part of me is like, this dude just had a kid. He needs a place to train his clients. The other part was like, bro, it just ain't working no more. And I was like, you chose this. I told you 4 things you can't be doing no more. You're disrespecting my stuff. You're not meeting the expectations. You just got to fucking go.
But here we go.
I don't care.
That goes back to, John, the operating agreement.
Yeah.
So our operating agreement is our expectations. Yeah. And so it isn't, I don't like you. You're just not delivering, my man.
That's what business,
yeah.
business
You know what I'm saying?
is in a
That's
nutshell.
it.
There's nothing to talk about. It's like,
that's it. All right. That was pretty good. I think with 2 questions is plenty enough. All right, so next, we're going to go over calculated risk and the kind of MO of scared money doesn't make money. But I think we talk about calculating your risk, or just kind of that theory. Like, when I say that, John, what just comes to mind?
So it's easiest to use things that people can relate to.
Sure.
So let's calculate my risk with max effort muscle. So I've never been in the supplement business, and my risk,
this is going to be good.
My risk was $100,000, and that risk funded the company. I worked with you for 7 years. I saw how you went from nobody knowing your name to on a, let's say, a national scale, to a lot of people knowing your name, right? So I believed in what you did. I knew you were a good person. So I also believed that you had a customer base that you built with Muscle Farm. Obviously, I saw it, but I chose to believe it.
You were believing what I was saying.
You weren't even saying it.
Yeah.
I was watching it.
Yeah, I got
you. Right. And we were communicating and doing business, and I knew you did business ethically, and we jived together because we had successes together.
Absolutely.
So as I'm looking at putting up my money liquid into someone who has to lead the charge at the beginning because I don't know this space, I'm calculating all those things I just said. Does he really have people, or was that Muscle Farm? Is that Corey, or is that Muscle Farm? Yeah, ethics are good, but are ethics going to return my 100? You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
So
hey, nice don't get 100 back.
Right.
Sure
so Corey built Muscle Farm, but I have the utmost confidence in myself as an operator. I can build a supplement company. But does he have more customers? See, that is evaluating it.
Sure.
So I ultimately, go ahead.
Without even you saying it, that's how Warren Buffett thinks. Warren Buffett says he invests in people first, business second. So without him even saying, and I'm pretty sure you haven't read a bunch of Warren Buffett books. Literally, that's what Warren Buffett says. He says I buy people, and he said then I buy the business.
That's how most of the angel guys do it too, I think. Go ahead.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No. That's just exactly how I evaluated it, and then, we got the hard part done, the operating agreement. We decided we're going in as equal. If I'm going to put up this money, and you're going to do what you say you do, which obviously has done, it's great, right? Because I evaluated it, and I know you evaluated it in your own way.
Because I had no plans on having a partner.
Exactly.
Zero.
Exactly. So
nobody.
In a reverse way, you're evaluating people too, just like Mo said. And then if we look at that process of intense evaluation, which only you know how you did it, I know how I did it, it's yielded 50x.
Yeah.
Sorry, Grant Cardone, not 10, 50. You know what I'm saying?
You got your money back in like 90 or 120 days.
Got my money back in 90 days, which is the most absurd payback of that kind of money.
We pre-sold almost 1,000 sets.
We're operating on net revenue in 90 days, 60 days into the business being live. Smash hit, brand took off, customer base was there, hot, and here we are.
John, your evaluation was correct. I like it. The way that I calculated things, we can use that example, but just in general, I would say I'm definitely less risky probably than John, or maybe even from what Maurice has shared. But I always look at it like this. I built this skill set over these last 20 years. I know that if tomorrow everything was taken from me, I could build something else. I think I always rely on that at the end of the day. And when I'm looking at risks, I always think, what's the worst? It literally comes down to the same way as when I go up to the big squat at 700 pounds. I'm not going to die from this, probably. So fucking let's go. I'll leave it all. So when I'm calculating things, I'm just looking at what's the worst that can happen, and can I withstand that? And the answer is almost always yes. And if it's a hard no, I'm not in. I literally look at it like that. It's very simple for me.
I think to a large part that may be my mentality towards life on a lot of shit.
Yeah.
And I try to, as I get older, try to build things. But I was just thinking about what I was talking about earlier. And I don't know what we were talking about earlier, but when I was talking about, you were talking about the risks that people take, right? And so I don't calculate them because I think I don't give a fuck because I'm willing to bet on myself. And I think going to prison really helped me in a way that's like I've experienced so many lows that it doesn't even bother me, right? So one thing I did this year, one, I took money for myself. I wanted to make that clear from the company. Two, we probably paid back. I probably had $400,000 in debt that I basically knocked out, right? Paid myself, paid all my stuff, and aggressively paid down all debt. Boom, all my debt's clear. I have no debt that I owe anybody else, right? But everything else was just dumping back into the company to make it grow, right? But all with the understanding that if shit hits the fan ever, I got me. You know what I'm saying? And so I don't have anything external outside of me that I can like gauge it against or give advice against.
Sure.
But I think like being highly disciplined, knowing you'll work your ass off, knowing that, you know, whatever it comes to it, I can always bet on myself or bet on relationships I've established, bet on just things that I've produced myself. Like it doesn't bother me. You know what I'm saying? Like it just.
But you're calculating risk based on what you said earlier, by essentially taking that money that you could say, okay, we have one location, the location's doing well, it can net me X amount of salary a year. Mm-hmm. You're calculating risk by rolling that money and more into a new building and expand it. That is the definition of risk, because the odds say that, hey, this one location may work, but that don't mean a fucking second's going to work.
100% it doesn't.
That's true.
Yes.
So how are you calculating that?
How do I we're good. I'm glad you helped me to clarify it. How am I calculating that? I calculated by saying, do I got the pieces and the parts that I've had in other cities? I calculated by saying, does the environment that I'm walking into have the same components as my other environment? Do I have the same team members so I can lean on, you know, be it administration, be it
same pieces of the puzzle.
Same pieces of the puzzle. And can I implement the exact same system here? And if I can line those things up in my head easily, right? And it's a no-brainer. I told you I do a lot of easy yeses, right?
Of course.
If I can line them up in my head, I said, okay, this is easy. I got this, right? And so I figured out a system, right? And that just may be understanding the system part, right? So if I can go anywhere, and I think I can go anywhere within the United States right now, and with what I'm doing, and I can do a fucking business and biceps documentary on it, I think I can build the same thing in every city around America, be it with commercial insurance, be it with Medicaid providers, understanding the system, where these things come from, what they do, how do you grow them, what do you need for them to cost, what employee costs, what is your actual employee cost, what is your onboarding cost, the taxes you're going to pay, switching your business to a C Corp. You know what I'm saying? These are all things that I understand. I think I would like to believe very well just over the period of time that I've been involved.
If you were to do that and take it into every city, mm-hmm. At what point you as an independent operator at what point do you say, okay, kind of a rule of thumb that a lot of people live by is rather use someone else's money than mine? Because at the end of the day, if you're going everywhere, it's not really even the money. It's just the responsibility will crush you.
Dude, listen to me. Will brutally crush you.
Yeah.
Brutally crush you. So, but like this, I've gotten approached by another gentleman before, right? And so I brought this. So this guy manages money for a living, right? And I came to this guy back in probably the beginning of 2016. This was like in the stage. So I started the idea fall of 2015. We got going. No, spring of 2015. We got going spring of 2016, somewhere within that time. And I brought it to him, and he's kind of seen me do what I did. He was like, man, we was on vacation together. I remember you talking about this shit. And to fast forward 2 years and have it happen. And he was like, can I give you some money? Or what happens when you want to scale this thing? And when do you make this public to other people? Or when can we grab a group of investors and make it? And I don't know. I've never been in that world before. You know what I'm saying?
It's a dangerous world, especially with people with big money.
Yeah, so I've never been in that place before. And put like this, it's not a yes and it's not a no. You know what I'm saying? But for me, it's advantageous to continue to do what I'm doing to learn more, right? So obviously, somebody they see the opportunity, they see what we're doing, they see what I started, they see all that stuff. But there's other variables just within the business that I need to learn about. You know what I'm saying? And I don't even know how to properly value a company. This is just me. I've never been in a situation where I had to value a company and you got X, you sell for X. I don't know that. You know what I'm saying? And so I wouldn't want to put myself in a situation where somebody undervalues, and then next thing you know, they swoop in and say, okay, if we tweak this, that, and the other, this thing does.
I'll tell you that's the hardest thing, right? Because smart people with big money, they like to put you in a box called book value. Okay, let's open the books. Book value. You might get, but then there's market value. Market is what motherfuckers are willing to pay for it.
Yeah.
That's where someone who's an operator like yourself, who's continuing on, fuck book value. It's about what people are willing to give me. Yeah. And if you decide, hey, all right, I'm going to bring people in, that market value is going to be a lot higher than that book value, guaranteed.
I know it's higher now. Put like this, put like this. Next 8 weeks, my life changes, right? And for a number of reasons, but I'm out of debt. Brother, when you out of debt, put like this, when you've grown business, right? And this is just, just reality of it. When you've grown business, you've grown opportunity, and you've eliminated debt up under old circumstances, it's a different ball game. You know what I'm saying? And so that's what we've have done.
Ball game.
And yeah, it's a bigger ball game, but there's just things. So as you grow opportunity, that means you have to grow employees. All these new employees have costs. It's cost about $1,500-$1,600 to onboard new guys. We'll probably have to onboard, let's say 60, 70 guys. You know what I'm saying? But you have to get that from your profits that you're getting. And I know we're going to a totally different conversation, but it's all relevant. You know what I'm saying? And just like there's certain things within the max effort business, just costs you have to eat, just operational costs. You know what I'm saying? And that you don't have any control over. But these are just things that you have to do in order to get to where you have to go, but nonetheless, it's just part of the process.
I think it's good. Good job, guys. It was a heck of a show.
It was a heck of a show.
Yeah. Fucker.
I thought it was neat.
There we go.
This guy. These Chicago guys like to bust balls all the time.
It's crazy to think that we doing these shows in under an hour now.
I'm on that clock right now.
Yeah, on the clock.
I'm telling you. I'm trying to keep your shit.
You're a clock boss.
I'm trying to keep you
You're
in
a clock
check,
boss.
Mo. I'm just glad you'll spend more than 5 minutes with me, Mo. Makes me feel important.
He won't.
No, he's not. He's actually not right now.
He's shutting
currently.
it down. He's shutting it down.
John.
Yo.
I think if you keep using the products from Keeps.comis.
I think if you keep using them.
Well, I'm not currently using them, but.
I'm not either.
But actually, I am kind of using them.
Oh.
Because there's this little spot way in the back, John,
okay.
I'm a little nervous about.
Okay.
I mean, I don't wear my hat every day, so
yeah.
I'm not sure what
you're trying to do the Chicago thing right now.
I'm not sure
you're
what
trying
yours,
to do the Chicago thing right now.
What yours looks like under there, John.
The Chicago
I'm
thing.
not sure.
You're
going
to lose that one.
I'm not sure what it looks like underneath that hat, John. But
you're not going to win that one.
I'm guessing you're applying it to the dome. That's all I'm saying.
I'm not. All I know is that Keeps is a great company
They
for
are.
working with us.
Oh, and I keep seeing
and
them on TV.
I always learn something to comment on my own experiences.
Oh, okay.
You know what I'm saying? But Keeps is a great company, and why don't you share with our listeners how they can save money using the product?
I feel really awesome when I see the same sponsors on TV that come to Business and Biceps. By the way,
I do too.
I see the commercial. I'm like, wait a second.
Exactly.
They're on Business and Biceps. This is the wrong paper.
There you go.
All right. Yes, it really works. Keeps offers you only 2 FDA-approved hair loss products. Clinically proven, John.
That is key, though, that the shit that it's clinically proven. I mean,
Absolutely.
the customer needs to, the listener really needs
It's
to dial
no
into that.
BS, John. It's just science. Get in the podcast!
The fucking podcast! Get